Hey guys, how you doing? We made it for the final results live. To be completely fair, um, my brain feels like it's pulsing inside my skull. But we're going to we're going to do our best to just be human and keep going. So, our final results. Now, it was so cold outside on my porch that I actually put a space heater out there so that it wouldn't deter the results on the glass, just being surrounded by such a cold environment. And yet, I can't help but feel that the environments that we're in, I really kind of got this download about it being symbolic, that the environments that we're in, the people or the places that we're connected to are cold. They're not on the same awareness wavelength, and it makes it very difficult to break through these different things when the environment isn't supporting growth, right? The environment isn't actually supporting growth. So as we get into these different candles, I really want you to keep that in mind, because, we take a lot of this pressure on ourselves to, see certain results, achieve certain results. We want to see that our energy is crystal clear and stuff like that. And sometimes, I think more oftentimes than not, we are crystal clear. And what is going on outside of us tends to skew the perception of where we think we are, just because we are empathic by nature and we pick up on other people's energies. We pick up on environmental energies, like the cities and the towns and the places that we live in, the people that we work with. Like, we pick up on a lot of energy throughout the day. And when we're interacting with it, unless you are like hyper self-controlled and aware despite external conditions, and you're like Jim Carrey floating through the Matrix in an avatar, and you're living it like that publicly to people, chances are you are wearing a mask in your environment, and you're not your full self in your environment. Because if you were your full and whole self, you would start to be rejected from that environment, right? Because the more truthful and honest you are with yourself, the more anything not in alignment with that truth starts to vibrate out. And a lot of people aren't ready to vibrate out. They're just not ready to let go of the environments that they're in and the people that they're around. So when we look at these candles, I want you to keep that in mind. All right. So, Missy Lisa, here's your final result. We got a bit of fog. You and Lorraine actually had the more clear glass of the candles, given they're all a little foggy. I think the biggest thing for you, outside of an overall reflection, right, really kind of going over this energy, and I think, for the next moon, we might just repeat these energies. I feel like for you, justice was only valid based on your perception of what's fair. That was the focus. Understanding that quote unquote fair is just based on our perception of what fair is. And there has to be a redefining of fair, right? What is fair in the divine's eyes, not, my personal eyes through my personal lens. but through a divine lens. I don't think you have issue releasing these things. I just think it's difficult with the fog. What we do have that is more blocked is what was being drawn in to replace what was going out. And that might have a lot to do with why these things are having a hard time going out, because these things are having a hard time being received. Feeling freely allowed, allowing the truth to be what it is, right? Glory of the true face. When we're talking about welcoming in the truth and feeling freely and not keeping your feelings in, right? Giving them voice, allowing the true you to shine through. I think a lot of it has to do with feeling the need to stay hidden in the environment that you're in for whatever your reasons are. And it's affecting your energy in that way. Okay. So over the next couple weeks between now and the next moon, right? The new moon that we're going to have in Scorpio, it's going to be in the middle of this big grand water trine energy. Mercury's going to be retrograde conjuncted. It's going to be a wild new moon. Between now and then, definitely keep a focus on these things, because we are going to repeat these candles. If you guys end up getting another one for the next event, we're going to repeat them. All right, we're going to really, really work on this. Miss Lorraine, here's your candle. I think you have the clearest of the 5. So for your candle, sacral chakra blocks, I think you have no problem letting it go. That came out clear. Free flow of creativity with life, that came clear. So I'm really glad to see that you've tackled one of those ins and outs. As you know, the focus of your candle, the objective is joy, right? To be fair, extreme joy. And whatever wounds you had surrounding maternal energies, right? Your creative energies with the sacral chakra, I think you've really embraced that free flow. It does get a little bit foggier towards the bottom, but mostly on the inside. The outside, maternal wounds that would steal your energy, that's clear. Justifying guilt, you're still working on letting go of. Okay. Justifying feeling guilty and doing things because you feel a little guilty or you feel bad or whatever, right? Justifying things with guilt. Something that still needs to be released. Being the mom you needed for yourself is something you're also still working on. Taking care of yourself in ways that no matter how good your mom may have been, you know, there are certain things that she may have missed, certain ways that you needed love that, you know, just wasn't in her wheelhouse. And now that you are fully capable of nurturing yourself, these are certain things that you'll be working on, right? Being the mom you needed for yourself, and release of pressure. And I think because the in and out of the release of pressure, the other side of it was justifying guilt. Because you feel bad, you put this pressure on yourself to perform or fulfill certain quote unquote obligations or expectations. And I would ask you to really look at how guilt and pressure get tied together in the choices that you make in everyday life and the thoughts that kind of maybe repeat in your mind. See if you can connect how guilt creates pressure, and see if you can start to picture or envision what it would be like to not feel guilty and release that pressure, right? Especially if they're going hand in hand. So Miss Lorraine, that was your candle. Keep it in mind, because like I said, we are going to repeat these for the next moon. Okay. For Miss Sherry, here's your candle. All right. We do have a nice healthy fog on the glass. although the focus is clear. So what even is quote unquote ideal anyway, right? That was the focus. And this was really about questioning what even is ideal. You know, what perspective have we created for ourselves? What belief system have we put ourselves into, like a box, and said, this is ideal? And if I'm not these things, then I've fallen from perfection. You know what I mean? I'm no longer ideal. I'm tainted, or, you know, not right in some way. So what is ideal anyway? Right? Throwing quote unquote ideal out the window. The pursuit of perceived perfection is probably where your glass is the clearest on the release side, but there's still, you can see there's still quite a bit of residual lines going on through there, but it is the clearest part of your glass. And I think that just focusing on those two things, right, with the main focus of the candle being what is ideal anyway, and the pursuit of perceived perfection, I do feel like you're starting to let that go. And when you do let the pursuit of perceived perfection go and allow yourself to just simply be more, the rest will kind of start to fall into place. Because the pursuit of perceived perfection, honestly, if we're being truthful with ourselves, perceived perfection is based on the responses that we get from people in our outer experience more often than it is the perceived perfection based on how we feel good about ourselves or not good about ourselves. You know, anytime that we are disingenuous or inauthentic, yeah, we might get positive feedback from the outer experience, but it doesn't always sit right with us, knowing that we coulda, shoulda, woulda said or responded in a different way had we been authentic, you know. I think that ties in a lot too with, you know, vampiric energy trying to take root. Whenever we are slightly off our authentic game, it leaves openings, right? It leaves openings for people to take advantage, you know? And if you think about like a football game, if every player was on their best A game, the ball wouldn't go anywhere. You know, the ball wouldn't go anywhere. You're talking about a defensive line, like the ball wouldn't go anywhere. And or the offensive line would fucking run it. You know, they'd run it and they'd take it all the way down. And if we're thinking about the vampiric energy, it's like they're looking for the weaknesses in the line. They're looking for the weaknesses in the other team. They're looking to see how they could stop you from benefiting from your A game. They're trying to outperform you. And so it's like giving in to shadow. You can run your light OT. You can run it on overtime. You know, your light doesn't need to take a break. Your shadow does. We get tired as hell after dealing with our shadow and being inauthentic. It's draining. It's draining. It's tiring. Being authentic doesn't take your energy. It builds it. Unjust evil eye. That was completely blocked. I feel like whoever or whatever that is, you might not see who they are yet. I don't feel like that's not something you'll be in the dark about forever. I'm hearing not for long. So whoever this is, unjust evil eye, I feel like it's definitely someone who's like fake to your face. They're fake to your face. They might even be fake to other people because, you know, they might know that it would get back to you, so they're not dumb. but in their heart to hearts, or they're people who are not connected, to anybody who would bring it back to you. I do feel like there's somebody I think it's like jealousy. It's stemming from jealousy, but I think you'll get the truth about them in time. Like I said, we're going to redo these candles, so we'll see between now and the next moon if that was revealed or not. Divine awareness of perfectly imperfect is on the way in. Definitely got some fog on it, and releasing temptations to things that spark self-judgment, and like we opened this live, the environments that we're in, because we have to continue with the program, society and societal roles, what we have to do to maintain life, the environments that we put ourselves in. It makes it hard to get out of them, temptations that we judge ourselves for. I would go back to the focus. What's ideal anyway? Hey, Lorraine. Good morning. I'm not feeling a whole lot better. You guys could probably even hear the little cracks in my voice. My throat hasn't been great either. But I'm getting there. My body is awake. My brain might not be there. But that's okay. I don't really need it anyway. Who needs a brain when you got spirit? So, Miss Sherry, I would definitely focus on being more aware of this stuff, and if you can't just be authentic through and through with everybody everywhere, then just start with little things and baby steps that you're being more authentic about. And just remind yourself that you feel good every time you're authentic, even if it's in little itty bitty ways. And start training your response to authenticity as something positive, as opposed to something to be afraid of, right? Starting like reprogram the self. So Miss Sherry, that was your candle. Miss Christina, here's your candle. You're next. Okay. The focus was, I'm so proud of myself, more proud than I have ever been. We do got a good amount of residual on the glass. I think self-gratitude, it's almost as if the wax barely touches the outside. The majority of that is clear. And I feel like having gratitude for yourself and how far you've come, because you've come a really long way, and having that gratitude for yourself to make hard choices and reset when you have to reset, whether that's yourself or externally. Like, you've done a lot. And I think with the residual on self-doubt, it's because it was probably just a pattern of thought to doubt yourself for so long, and then we get involved in certain relationship dynamics where we don't really understand the mirrors at first, and it's painful, and we start to doubt ourselves, like we made a mistake when really we made the perfect choice because we were learning certain things. And so I think being really proud of yourself, because you did learn, and you don't have to doubt what you're drawn to. It's a matter of figuring out why you're drawn to it, when you're drawn to it, and then asking yourself if it's really something you need to go the long road down to learn, or if you can see it for what it is and not have to take the long route, The The roller coaster of doing, being released with the steady pace of being. Having those two things go hand in hand with each other. I kind of described it as like, I think it was on the Scorpio video that I just did, the Wheel of Fortune reading. But we were talking about the roller coaster. And then I gave the analogy, like if you were at a theme park and there's tons of rides, like everybody's having fun, they get on and off the rides and they're like, oh, that was amazing, or that was crazy, or awesome, or let's go on it again. And it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's the big swings or the lazy river or roller coaster. But if you see everybody standing in line for a roller coaster and people are not excited when they get off, they're terrified, they're traumatized, they're sick, they're passed out, they're injured, like they're like, this was the worst mistake of my life and I'm never going on that again. Like everybody getting off is having a negative experience. And it's like, why would you get in line thinking that maybe you would be the one that didn't, And it's how a lot of us function in life. If we think about it, how many people genuinely love their jobs? There's a lot of people out there that do love their jobs. They do. They thoroughly enjoy it, whatever their job is. That's their passion and they get to do it every day. And then there's a lot of people who are at their job because it pays the bills. It's bearable. The people that they work with, they tolerate them. They might even like a few people that they work with, even though there's probably a couple assholes they can't stand and want to quit over every other week, But there's a lot of people who are miserable at their jobs. It's just what they know and it's what they're familiar with and it's what they do because they think they have to do it and they don't allow themselves to be creative. I feel like for you, especially welcoming in social breaks and abstinence towards needing downtime being released, that being the biggest block, I would challenge you to be aware of how much time you spend doing instead of being is a distraction from being because of where your thoughts can go when you're not distracted, and getting deep with the self. Like for me personally, Jupiter just went retrograde. It's literally 4 degrees away from my moon sign. This whole water trine is aspecting on my 29-degree Cancer moon. And it's no wonder why my brain feels like the ocean is swelling up in there. I've really been sitting inside my thoughts and allowing myself to observe what is quote unquote important on my mind. And when thoughts come up, I'm asking myself the why questions. Okay, why is this important in my mind? What conversation am I really trying to have with myself that this is what is coming up? And how can I re-engage it in a way that is productive instead of redundant, And it's a task. It's a task to sit with your thoughts and not be distracted, not listening to music, not listening to podcasts or readings or people or anything. And I don't have a TV, so I'm never flipping through channels on the TV. I don't have one. But it's like turning off the noise, the external noise, just to be inside the self and gauge where you're at and what is still coming up and what still needs to be worked on that all of the distractions keep you from. I know that I've been going through a process, and I'm gonna get more into it when I get into my candle. But I would challenge you to really sit with yourself and what roller coasters you've been on or are still on in your mind or in real life, and ask yourself if it's really worth the ride to pay that much time and energy on something that really doesn't feel good, and it's not good for your overall psychological health. And the roller coaster could be anything. Like, yeah, it could be a job. It's the analogy that I use, but it could be a relationship with family members. It could be a relationship with a specific friend or a group of friends, and how much you really do resonate with it, or if you really don't, you know. So keep that in mind. We are going to redo these energies for the next moon. If you guys get candles for the next moon, we're going to redo these ones, just because there was such a continuous fog over all of them. And yours truly, my candle, probably had the steadiest film of residual wax all over the candle. And this is something that I've been working on, especially since they started burning. And I knew it was going to be hard. And I've talked to a couple of you about it. And I know that if you've been watching my channel for a while, you may have caught it. My channel, for the longest time, like I needed this channel. This channel saved me in ways I can't even begin to explain, because it's been around since 2018. 7 years, you know, going on 8 years. I think it'll be 8 years in April, like 5 months. And I met some of the most amazing soul family through this channel. And the amount of love and gratitude that I have for you guys, the amount of love and gratitude y'all have shown me, has made it exceptionally hard to choose. I am being super self-critical, right? Super self-critical. I'm having a hard time embracing what I'm being guided to. Past traumas debilitating the self, comparing the self to societal acceptances, harsh judgment of the mirror, like, oh, I'm having a hard time. Beauty in the reflections, self-gratitude and acceptance, turning pain into power. Yeah, I'm having a hard time because I am being guided to archive the channel. 2025 will be the last year of the Divine Voice Box. These last few secret codename events, these last few special event readings, they're going to seal the Divine Voice Box. This is the end of the channel. It will stay up. So that people can go back and rewatch their readings, catch things in divine time. Member videos will stay member videos. But unless Spirit guides me, which I don't think that it is, I'm going to let the Divine Voice Box rest. It's served me, and I know it has served you guys well. But Spirit is pulling me in a different direction. I know at some point I will have new media platforms. I will have new channels. but I will probably be off the radar 6 months to a year. I'm going to be focusing on other things. I'm going to be brainstorming. Even the last couple days, as I was kind of sitting with my head fog, and maybe that's why it was just so brutal, is because the more I embraced the synchronicities that I was meant to let the channel go, that it's time to let it go. It's not, just changing the name of it and rebranding. It's the channel is retiring. The more I became okay with those thoughts, the more creative downloads I started getting. And I haven't really had that creative itch in a hot minute, and it felt damn good. It felt damn good to have that creative itch. And I look forward to whatever spirit has me doing over the next 6 months to a year. I mean, God knows it could be longer. Those of you who have personal readings on the books with me, some go back as far as 2020. Anybody who's ever booked readings with me and saved them for a rainy day, like I tell y'all, they do not expire. I know, and I could be missing someone. I know Vivian, Elisa, Lorraine, Sherry, Christina, Meta, Tara, Catalina. I'm missing someone. You guys have readings with me on the books. Rita has a reading with me on the books. If you're not sure if you do or not, reach out to me, because I keep a binder with all of that stuff and it doesn't go anywhere. Like, I keep a full record of every secret code name since the events started back on Facebook, before I ever even took them to YouTube. So if you wanted to know what was your secret code name for such and such event back in 2022, I have it written. I keep meticulous records. And you guys will still be able to go back and rewatch all these things. All the messages at this point will be timeless. But come the end of 2025, like, that's it. And once the year is over, the Divine Voice Box Etsy shop will also be on quote-unquote vacation mode. So I will not be taking bookings, new bookings in 2026. I'm going to be focusing on other things. So if you have readings on the books, if you want to get readings on the books before the end of the year, so that you have them and you could reach out to me and cash in your reading whenever you want to cash in your reading with me, that's totally fine. But as of January 1st, 2026, there will be no more the Divine Voice Box. That version of me is no longer required outside of what it is. There's almost like 2,000 videos or something on this channel. And everything that needed to be said will be said by the end of this year. I don't doubt that. So I love y'all. I hope that these candles have helped you save. I love doing the intention candles. Candle reading is so interesting. And it is something that I know I'll end up bringing back, maybe in a different way, when I get the new channels underway. But it is going to be a while, guys. I'm going to focus on the deck creation, doing edits to the Myths and Magic Majors Tarot right now. I'm doing edits to try and get a final cut version for you. That will be up at some point. And yeah, I'll keep you guys posted for sure. But I probably I probably won't be doing many live readings. All right. I'll always do as I'm guided if spirit guides me to do a video or something, but for the most part, spirit is going to keep me busy. It's already giving me downloads. It's going to keep me really busy. I actually had bought like a 4x6 whiteboard that sticks to the wall. And I'm going to organize myself. I got a lot of things. I got a lot of things that spirit wants me to do. Like a lot. And I'm excited about it. But it's a lot of build. It's a lot of background build. And it's going to take some serious time. So 6 months to a year. And if you want to keep up with me and don't want to completely lose me and want to make sure that I'm alive and well, if you want to shoot me your email with like your Facebook or something like that, my email's in the description. Just shoot me an email with your Facebook. We could be Facebook friends. And you will obviously know when and how I have reinvented myself. It will be under a pseudonym, pen name, alias, whatever you want to call it. Completely different. Okay. I'm feeling good about that because I do have a lot of like, and you guys know I have a lot of exes that like still stalk my energy in this channel, and I'm very ready to just cleanse it all. I'm just ready to cleanse it all. Just cleanse the energy in the environment. And I'll probably make like a formal announcement at some point on the channel. But for now, for those of you guys who actually, do watch the Intention Kindle videos, I guess you get a heads up. All right. Until we next meet, guys, take advantage of the stuff going on in the Etsy shop while you can. And I'll see you when I see you. Bye.